Welcome to RADtalks number 6. It's my podcast for courageous, authentic, inspiring voices of people who want to make this world a better place. And in case of today's conversation, this person wants to make this world a better place through more mental fitness and social impact. Hello, Eva. Wir läuft es in Wien?
Es läuft gut. I miss you here in Vienna. It's actually beautiful, actually days behind us. And yeah, I truly miss you.
Yeah. Well, I lived in Vienna a long time ago, but some things never forget. So it's my biggest pleasure to introduce Eva Gruber, uh, habits and positive intelligence coach. If you have beautiful topics to talk about, and I just want to begin with how did we get here? Okay, so rewind a decade ago, Eva and me met in a place called Impact Hub, Vienna, a very special place for, I would say, people with ideas, aspiring entrepreneurs, place where you can get great talent, financial resources, mentors, and all this. So we were there, all with our little ideas in head, and I was involved in an urban gardening project in Vienna, and Eva was involved in within a team with the venture called the Three Coins. Three Coins is an organization that helps young people build and maintain financial skills. And this venture grew to have great impact and really to set Eva off to her further path, right? Um, and then some years later, and some good and some bad habits later, Eva is running her own venture as a habits and positive intelligence coach. And this is topics I'm dying to hear more about. So please tell me what led you to this moment, basically coming from a very, very busy world of startups
Hmm.
and starting something which at least I perceive as a more grounded work or grounded in a different way, such as working with people as a habits and positive intelligence coach.
Actually, you said it already. It's my own bad habits that led me there. So just to briefly rewind, yes, I had co-founded a first venture myself with a little team. And I was running it for 6 years, and I was losing myself so much in it. I was loving it so much, but losing it, myself and I, like in itself, so much at the same time. I was getting very close to burnout, and now I'm soon publishing my first book. It also tells the story how I can, like, let's say, build some certain so-called mental saboteurs in my childhood, which actually pushed me rather than pulled me through my life, and how that actually caused also like behaviors and habits that are not so good for me, right? And I really learned out of that to really like take more care of myself, have more self-empathy, right?
Mm.
And it's still it's a lifelong journey, so training your mental fitness, so really being mentally strong but not pushing but pulling, and also training habits and not falling into the traps you used to fall into, like saying yes all the time or not making any breaks, or like just not resting in a real way. All of that actually led me to how can I make this differently. And I started with myself first. I did different trainings, therapies, and I knew I'm gonna coach people in some way at some point.
Wow, yes, exactly. I mean, every time I think of you, and I always knew you, you were extremely driven person. And as an entrepreneur, I saw you always doing things, being places, making things happen, reaching out. And I know that this can be very tiring, if not exhausting. So we all reach this point, whether it's a burnout or almost there. And this is exactly how you and me connected or reconnected, because my previous podcast talked about the burnout, and there we
Mhm.
came to the bottom line, whereas we have to examine our habits and usually our bad habits in order to make that change and get out of a burnout. And first of all, I want to ask you, you mentioned positive intelligence. Could you please tell a bit more? And does that
Sure.
imply that we also have a negative intelligence in us?
Mhm. So true. So let me frame here the bigger picture. Many people are talking about mental health. Okay, mental health is so much on the agenda in the media. And I'm always a bit cautious about the term mental health, because if you say we need to take care of our mental health, people say like, I'm not sick, I'm not
Yeah.
ill, I don't have any, like mental illness. So I call it, or we call it, mental fitness. And it's like training your physical body. Let's say you want to get up the mountain in a more relaxed, easy way. You would go out and train yourself. And next time you hike, you feel better, right? And you feel more stronger. But let's say, imagine your next week, actually, the one that is upcoming, and you see like so many meetings, so many things to also like balance privately. It also already stresses you out. You already feel overwhelmed. And we're not training for that. We're not training how to face the situations and be mentally fit, right? So we miss muscles, mental muscles,
Yeah.
that you can actually train. And positive intelligence is just a different term. It just enables you to train brain muscles and create habits
Yeah.
that actually help you to shift in a negative situation, like feeling overwhelmed, feeling stressed, feeling fearful, feeling insecure, or feeling shame, right? To shift in this very moment into a positive perspective and making out of the situation rather an opportunity.
Wow,
Yeah.
this is fascinating. So we are really used to the term the physical fitness, and
Mhm.
so we can work more towards it. But there is also the mental fitness, and this is might be new to a lot of people, including me. So we have this mental fitness muscles, you say.
Yeah. What I do first is, and what I invite all of us to, is to think about which thoughts, actually, which we call it mental saboteurs, are pushing us towards this productivity, right?
Hmm.
Are the reasons that we like want to, I don't know, grow the numbers of our like business or get more clients or whatever? Are these the good reasons, the right reasons, right? Or are we rather pushed by a hyperachiever in us, or a restless in us that also like wants to be with the next best thing? And that's the starting point for many of my conversations also with you. It's like, let's
Yes.
talk about our like mental state first, and
Yeah.
then shift it over into the real behavior, how we really act upon that.
Yes, yes, yes. And now you mentioned these amazing categories. So I really want to unpack this. So you mentioned mental fitness, and so we can actually measure our level of
Mhm.
mental fitness. And what
Yeah,
comes out is a whole map of our inner world through, how do you call it, mental saboteurs. Can you
true.
explain more? Because saboteur is a strong word. I'll tell you
Yes.
later more why I'm almost
So
afraid of that word, but tell
yeah.
me, what are mental saboteurs?
So first, positive intelligence was created in the US, and I'm trained in it, and I'm working with the founder, and he's my mentor, and the team is amazing. And they actually, within research, within decades of research and applied research with more than 500,000 of people, like CEOs and top Stanford students and all that, they found out that there is 10 different types of so-called mental saboteurs.
Yeah.
And these are all, let's say, like profiles, like kinds of, you would say, maybe types of thoughts that actually lead you into some action. And I want to name some which are the most common ones. Like the most common one actually is the judge. And the judge is, we call it the master saboteur. So like you
Oh,
judge
wow.
yourself, right? But mostly you're not aware of that. And then
Yeah.
you judge others, which are you more actually more aware of, or you judge your circumstances,
Yes.
like, again, this is happening. Why is this happening, right? So
Yeah.
the judge is a very strong mental saboteur. And the judge, of course, as the other mental saboteurs, comes with certain thoughts, emotions, then
Hmm.
beliefs, like actually lies, that you lie to yourself. Of course, I have to behave like this because it always helps me. And all of this, you set up a certain profile for that.
Yeah.
And next to the judge, there are 9 others that actually come with the judge. Now, once the judge kicks in, because he or she is a dominant, he's asking for support, right? He's asking for a sparring partner. And many times with people like entrepreneurs, it's hyperachievers, that really put the bar high. It's
Hmm.
controllers that always want to have everything in their hands because otherwise nothing will be finished. It's restless people, restless that say like, where's the next best thing? I want to
Yeah.
go on that. I don't want to miss out, right? There's
Yeah.
pleasers, there's victims, there's hyper rationals, there's hypervigilance, and there's some others.
Oh my God, fascinating. But Eva, can we share what are our top saboteurs? I mean,
Yeah, we
I'm open
can.
to that.
Me
I
too.
what is your top saboteur?
My top saboteur, of course, is the judge. And
Oh
honestly, I
my God.
just found out I have been training this also like this method for years now. And I always take first time for myself and discover a method and test it with myself. And it took me a couple of months to honestly just realize, wow, this is the judge. The judge is
Yeah.
so disguising so well, right?
Yes,
And so
yes.
the judge is my most dominant, and rather like judging myself than others. And second comes in the stickler. So the stickler is a person that is rather perfectionist and that wants things
Oh
in a
my
certain
God.
way and all that. Yeah.
Yes.
How
Oh,
about
wow.
you?
Oh my God. Well, I can even, well, I have a small performance for this. I'm a pleaser, baby. So why don't you kill me?
That's my
Yes.
third. So I can
Yes.
agree on that too.
Yes.
How does
Pleasers.
it?
Yeah. You tell us. I mean, I know what it is, but tell us really in proper words. What are people pleasers?
People pleasers are always putting others first and themselves at least second, if not, on the
Yeah.
tenth, whatever place. So people that please really want to have the love, the attention of the others, and that's actually nourishing them. And they really forget about themselves, and they really forget about their needs, their wants, and these are also people that work in many social areas that burn out very easily because they don't know any limits, boundaries.
Mhm.
Saying no is so hard to them for them, and making a break, of course, because did I tick off all the to-dos of my list and did I please the others before I can take a break and please myself?
Yes. Yes. Sounds all too familiar.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what can I say? I've done this assessment and comes out, it's really helpful, you know. It's really like a map, it's an inner compass, and it really helps reevaluate, you know, where you're going, what your goals are, what your purpose is. So my advice is, dear people, get this assessment and have Eva help you, starting with this point, outlining your top mental saboteurs. It's good stuff, really. I have a small notion
Mhm.
that I want to share with you. As you know, I'm a lover of personal growth development, so I follow a lot of methods. And to be fair, why I said the saboteur is such a strong term, um, in some other stuff I'm following, terminology is slightly different, you know, just to help people connect easier and better. So a saboteur might be judgmental for some, or might be strong or harsh. So what is used there is a term protectors.
Mhm.
And why are we called them, these parts of ours, or like you said, some thoughts, protectors?
When we talk about mental fitness and all these saboteurs or protectors, right? They come whenever we feel a negative emotion. So, like when we feel stressed, or when we feel in fear, or when we feel insecure, right? Then we actually take along and can like awaken these mental saboteurs. Like, out of, not even thinking about it. Just what you have to imagine in our childhood, or since we have been growing up, we have lived through very different situations. And as kids, like very like small kids, we have been in a very good place mostly. We have lived through very sage experiences in the sense of we felt mostly safe and secure and loved. But also kids that haven't felt that, they have actually experienced all this, fear and all that. And at a very early age, they had to answer one question. The question is, how can I survive this?
Yeah.
And this question is a big one. It's really like for kids, it feels like, how can I survive this? My mama is not taking care of me. I'm not getting the
Mhm.
love and attention I want now, right? And then what we do, or what we did, and what we still do over the lifetime, we build up these so-called mental saboteurs, or you call it protectors, in order to make us pass and go through the situation. Let's say if I feel insecure or something, right, and I want to be more seen, I might turn into a hyperachiever. I might just, really achieve great things at school, in sports, and by that get the attention of my parents,
Yeah.
right? And that's why I'm pushing all through my life and putting the bar even higher and higher at all terms.
Yeah.
And the hyperachievers and also the other mental saboteurs, all of them have certain, we call it lies, justification lies actually,
Yeah.
because they come in a negative situation. They say like, I help you now, I'm your crutch. And if you take me, I help you through this situation and out of this process. Okay. And of course, in this very moment, we might be successful with the hyperachiever in us. We might push through and we might make this product launch happen in a great way. But
Yeah.
studies and much more shows that most of the hyperachievers and also the others, they're not happy in the end. They might be successful to some extent,
Yeah.
but also like not long-term successfully because they burn out, they don't really fulfill the purpose they really want to have. They're not happy and content in the end, right? So this justification lies, it comes from your childhood actually,
Yeah.
and it grows over time. And that makes you always respond to these mental saboteurs, even though you should do differently. And of course, there's a different end of the spectrum. It's so-called sage powers. You can train them, of course, as well, to not just listen to the mental saboteurs, but shift to the positive and
Yes,
really go into
yes,
it.
yes, yes, yes. We will talk about it as well. So thank you for explaining this. So whether you call them mental saboteurs or protectors, these I would call it even sub-programs were designed when we were much younger.
Yeah.
And now it's our task is when we are adults and older and more mature to see what's not serving us anymore in order to plug in into this full
Mm.
potential. But like you said, there is a good news, and the good news is that
Uh,
we have a sage in us. Please tell us, what is a sage? Who is that
yeah.
person?
As you can imagine now, we have a spectrum, we have two ends. On the one hand would be the mental saboteurs, right? They are like motivated by all the negative emotions that you feel. And then on the other hand, you have the so-called sage powers. And luckily, they motivate you through positive emotions like creativity, like passion, like curiosity, right? All of that. Of course, everything that is summarized below the term of love, right? Saboteurs you can summarize below the term of fear and any kind of fear,
Yeah,
and sage is love. So you can really really get curious about what can I do here and explore. You can really get more deeper and say like, how can I make this in a new way and innovate here? How can I navigate through something that is really a longer way to go? And how can I already today know what I should do? And of course, have a more wiser behavior
yeah,
until, of course, empathize more, really like go deeper with yourself and others. It's actually one of the first steps to do. And of course, also like activate yourself, like really like get
mhm,
active, just not just think what to do, but really do it. Not in a pushing way, but in a pulling way. That's a
yes,
big difference.
yeah. That's a big difference, definitely. And this is the work we do with you, right? So tell me, please, what are the strategies to shift from this negative mindset into the positive one?
Yeah, yeah. Of course, first it would be to look at what is actually mentally stopping you, what is hindering you. What are actually the so-called lies, the mental saboteurs lies that you're telling yourself? Maybe as a pleaser, you always put others first. Maybe as a controller, you want everything at hand, and that's why you cannot make space for this new work and new job you want to do, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first step to do, really. And then really set up new routines, new habits, not just mental habits, but also like other habits, like how can I get my new routine in the morning going? How can I really focus on certain tasks in my job?
Yeah.
Because I want to write a book, right? And writing
Yes.
something is something big, right?
Yes.
So it's a lot about shifting from negative thoughts and behaviors and habits into the positive ones. And
Yeah.
so you always have to keep on training. It's like really lifelong training. And we train about 15, 20 minutes a day overall, your mental strength and the
Mhm.
habits. And with that, you build up this kind of like, yeah, the skill set.
Yes. Back to the muscles you were talking about.
Yeah.
To continue in this way, so after you got into the positive intelligence, you continued and complemented your coaching with the method from the Tiny Habits book, right? So,
Mm.
because the habits are at the core of the change, the
Sure.
sustainable behavior change, right? That is your field. So, I want to talk now about the habits part.
Yeah.
Why is it so hard to change a bad habit for us?
What is so difficult with us is mostly that we're not aware of our bad habits, right? So like we have trained ourselves as the negative thoughts, which is we're speaking about. The bad habits are actually not really obvious to us, and they're mostly so easy to do. That's why we do it, right? You can imagine there is a motorway in your brain, And the motorway is the connection between two neurons, right? And you always go this way. That's why it's a fast way, it's a motorway, right? Only if you would start to learn a new habit, which is actually a better one, this motorway would slowly atrophy, right? And by that, you would go the new way, which is actually a better way. So first is because we're not aware of them. And second, also like because we don't have a true intention and aspiration, it could
Yes.
actually lead us towards a new behavior.
So if I can give one example, I'm hungry and I just want to quickly solve that, and I just go to the quickest solution, which is junk food.
Yeah,
Uh, and I keep repeating this. It's because I have the highway set to this frequency, and anything that would get out of this routine would bother me, or that would need more time, or I think I would need more energy for it. So I opt
yeah,
for the fastest way, right? Something
yeah.
like that.
But there's always different strategies here too. But it always starts with the question of why do I want to change something? And
Hmm.
many people, when it comes to binge eating, right, because they're stressed, they're overwhelmed, right? It's really about, as you said, like just shutting down this negative emotion, just shutting down this feeling of overwhelm, right?
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
here it would be rather to think about why is this happening to me? Why I'm feeling like this, and how can I change that, right? You would maybe not start with stopping the binge eating, would come around the corner, right,
Mm.
and just see like what's really the crutch I need to
Yes.
go, I don't know, into a better behavior,
Yes.
right?
Yes. I
and
really
and
like
that's
it.
actually the deeper work.
Absolutely.
It's
And that's why I like it. You really push us to start with your why. Um,
yeah,
why are you doing it, or why you think that way, or why you think that's the best, or like basically
which
the
is such a
quickest.
difficult question. I know
Yes,
that, and it takes a
the
time.
most difficult
It
part.
takes time.
Yes.
But yeah,
And throughout your work so far, what would you say that people struggle most with in terms of bad habits? What is,
yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
couple of top bad habits?
So I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, many also like single entrepreneurs, but also like others have teams are working in the startups, like in the innovational sector. But again, then also like managers, anybody that is really driven to really
Mm.
get to somewhere, right? And many of these people have certain kind of mental saboteurs in them. The more dominant mental saboteurs with them, of course, hyperachievers, pleasers, especially also like people that are feeling like victims,
Mm.
because many times when we're like hyperachieving, at some point we also like feel like victims, like not really sometimes seen the way we really want to be seen, and also many people are of course judging and hyper rational. It's just really really coming with their argument first and losing the connection to the body and to the emotion. So this is the variety of people I work with, entrepreneurs to managers, very driven, put the bar very high, many
Performance.
times yeah, losing the connection to yourself because you just
Yeah.
go. So and what is mostly struggling for them is really setting their own boundaries and limits, to really keep up with their focus. And of course, before we can focus on something, we need to know why and what is the intention behind that. What is also very, very difficult for them, of course, is then to say no, right? To really say in a very clear way, to say no to someone, to say
Yeah.
no to an invitation for a talk or, I don't know, a contribution to a book or something. And then again, it's also about saying yes to yourself, right? It's like increasing the self empathy,
That
right?
might
This
be
is
hard.
very hard for them. Yeah, so this boundaries limit, saying yes versus no, right? Increasing the self-empathy to really like put yourself first at so many times. That's
Yeah.
one of the most challenging things they have.
I don't know why it's so hard to say yes to ourselves. Maybe
Yeah,
if you studied this through your coaching practices, is it the culture, the environment? Of course, the way we grew up is the first factor, but also the culture and all kinds of influences like that. What about the role
yeah,
models? Do we have role models where, people that are run by their sage instead of
yeah.
the other guys?
Yeah, actually, yes. I think I think the best role models are always people are closest to you. So I'm not never looking out for a role model. I don't know. I would say maybe in the US somewhere, Silicon Valley or anything, because this is not my life reality, right? This is not a person I can personally connect to and talk to or whatever. So I have my closest role models within my really closer circle. And I think you should really look out for them. And many of my role models have been elderly, wiser people.
Yeah.
And also like within positive intelligence, we look at some perspective, which is the elder wiser self.
Yes.
And
Yes.
which is actually showing you kind of like with a more grounded approach, like why are you running so much, right? I was recently on a podcast with Wendy Capewell, and she's a trauma specialist. She was just telling myself, Eva, I don't run so much any time anymore, right? In the mornings, I take my time. I don't run anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this inner wiser self is also something we should actually listen to much more.
Yeah.
And this could be your own role model at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is why, Eva, my role models are the people that I have in the podcast. It's all the circle I need.
Yeah.
So, together with you, talking about this amazing stuff like positive mindset and changing our habits. I also had the burnout, the power of intuition, and it's all the circle around me. So
Mm.
exactly what you're saying, tapping into your closest is really, really nourishing. Is this how you create impact today with this work?
We really have to start with ourselves first. And I think we're just investment ready if we really know our own mental saboteurs, know our sage potential, and really like build better habits and routines for ourselves to really make this venture and by that support for others really happen in a good way,
Yes.
in a pulling and not a pushing way.
The reason why I use the creating impact is because there is something very special coming up for you. It's actually your first and new ebook called Creating
Mhm.
Impact. Can you tell us more about it, what it is,
Yeah.
and when we will be available?
Yeah. So it's a book I co-authored with 16 other leaders and change makers, and we really tell very personal stories. You will read about 17 stories dealing with burnout, with divorce, with any kind of like a negative emotion you can imagine. And to really go with you through the adversity we felt and how we overcame it, right? And in the end, all of these 17, that's why it's called also like storytellers and change makers, we built on top of these learnings, we built a business, right? We built a solution that actually helps others that maybe have experienced something similar or even the same. So Creating Impact is launched at October the 8th. It's first an ebook. It's also going to be a printed book at some point, but just in a couple of weeks. And it's also like, it's very cheap. It's just 1.5 euros. So it's not for us to make any revenues, but we just want to voice our stories. And by that, as like make people see other opportunities to help yourself.
And can you share where where is the funding going? I mean, this one.
Yeah, the funding is going to an NGO, which is actually supporting refugees, kids in hospitals, any people in need with books, because we know books change lives. It's really like lifts up your spirit. It enables you to ideate, and all of that gives something really back. Yeah.
Beautiful. As always, in RADtalks, we have special gifts, something our wonderful guests give. And with Eva, you heard how much she can help you with, and this amazing treasure she's now carrying as a habits coach and positive intelligence coach. So, what did we come up with? It's something special called 7-day habit treat.
It's a 90-minute session, also followed by a 5-day sparring. And we can really look into the true why that you want to go for yourself, and think about all the thoughts and also bad habits that you actually have with yourself right now and how you could change that. Just get ideas around that. And then kind of like make it clear what could be the next steps for you, just for yourself to really like start and really like change something, and followed by, as I said, 5 days of sparring, because maybe we have created a tiny habit that you already want to test. And I'm supporting you in the next couple of days because that's the more crucial time that first we have designed something, but then we have to test it and see if it really works. And mostly it needs some time to really get shaped.
Yes, absolutely. The hardest question is how to make it stick, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Following this Rad Talks, you can find this special offer at Eva's website, so evagruber.org. And what is important is that you put in a special code for this offer, which is hashtag RADtalks. And please go and benefit from a 20% discount of this week program. I can see that it can be a life changer because I know Eva and she does make things happen. So I trust this, and I actually I want to ask you just a little bit about this. There is a word, tiny. Why is it a
Mhm.
tiny habit?
Well, because a tiny habit, a true tiny habit, is actually doable in less than 30 seconds. And
Mm,
that's one of the biggest hurdles for most of us, that, of course, we think about some change and then we want to go for a run for 30 minutes right away. But
yeah,
this is never happening, because it
yeah,
might be happening for the first couple of days, but then the regular life kicks in again. And it's too big, it's too big of a change. And that's why tiny is
yes.
really one of the really powerful tools to really start with.
To wrap up this very inspiring talk, I came across from all of your stuff another little tool which is significantly improving the chances for change, and that is celebrating as a part of tiny
Yes.
habits change. Because I believe we don't do that. I mean, an average
Mhm.
human forgets to celebrate on daily basis, whatever it is. So
So true.
how to start this and what it is? How do we celebrate?
Yeah, I'm so with you. Also, like, I think it's rather also like a European actually thing that we don't celebrate. That we don't have this, outgoing, like just really cheering for ourselves.
Yeah,
And this is so important because why? Because it kind of like rewires your brain. Once you have done something and you celebrate that, your brain knows, wow, this is something good, this is something special. It does me good, right? I want to
yeah,
do this again.
yeah,
So when we really like come up with new habits and we really celebrate them, they really stick with us also like more easier,
yeah,
because we do the celebration, because our brain gets this endorphin and all that, right? It gets this excitement.
yes,
And we
yes,
do it in a very authentic way, right?
yes, yes. And what is important, we have you to help us with this. And yeah, I'm looking forward to you and people like you becoming the most wanted in the coming time, because we with COVID we also saw that we have changed and we are changing, and for a lot of us it's not so easy. So if I can say, I mean, the future is, or rather maybe the present is in changing our old habits.
Mm, so true. Very well said. Thank you. I think there's one thing, actually, too. Many times, as I said before, we learn something, right? We go to a workshop, even a training, and then we have all these aha moments that are actually exciting, right? And we say, like, wow, this is really potentially helping me. And then, we go back into our daily lives and work and the routines we have, and all these effects can like fizzle away, right? And that's one moment I people think about me, or I just get active with them, because we kind of like nail it down to really putting all these aha moments, all these learnings that you feel like could help me so much, into action. And actually, the second message combined with that, it's the longer we think about it, I should do this, the bigger it gets, of course, in our mind.
Yeah.
And it should feel easy to just, mustn't be me, it can be anyone, reach out and ask for the support. Asking for support is, by the way, another thing most of my clients are really struggling with. So
Yeah.
asking for support should be something easy and should feel lifting to you than a
Yes.
burden.
Yes. Absolutely. We all need to relearn that asking for help and support is a beautiful thing and not something to be
Yeah.
ashamed of. So thank you. Thank you for doing this work and for being in my circle. I'm looking
Thank you.
forward to doing even more and spreading this good vibe. It's beautiful to see a grounded person, like you said, acting from a sage perspective. Um, and I hope more of us get to that, and more of us become mentally fit. Thank you,
Thanks to you.
everybody. Thank you for listening to Eva and me. This was Rat Talks number 6. I wish you a wonderful day and a month of October, thinking about your inner map, who's guiding you where, and how to get to the highest potential. Please get in contact with Eva. Follow her amazing, precious tips and tricks on LinkedIn. She has a beautiful newsletter as well. So we'll leave all the contacts and social media as well. Stay tuned and don't forget to work on your mental fitness as well. Thank you, Eva.